Welcome to House of Amen, New Black Spirituality. I'm your host, Loslive. Today's conversation, we'll be speaking with Kobi Burt, our Staff Sergeant Kobi Burt, active African-American military enlisted personnel. We'll have an opportunity to speak with him about what's going on today, get the African-American military perspective on the protesting and the kneeling during the anthem, as well as a discussion on whether or not, or the black man's or black woman's role in the United States military. And of course, we will touch on unity, as our whole goal here at House of Amen is to facilitate unity within the community, help to get over any of the differences and focus more on our common ground, our common ancestry, our common history, our common experiences, to build on that and use that to be a unifying force. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring in our guest today, Kobi Burt. Good morning, sir, or good afternoon, sir, or maybe I shouldn't even say sir at all.
You can just call me Kobi. I'm good with that. You know, that's it. I mean, I should be saying sir to you, you know. But yeah, I respect that mutual respect we have for one another, regardless of our age gap or whatever. But yeah, I'm honored.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate you taking time to join us here on House of Amen, being willing to open up and to talk with us. Want you to just kind of bring the viewers up to date, or just give them a little information on your background and who you are and what your profession is.
Yeah, I've been in the military for about 12 years now. I started off as a 19 Delta. It's basically a combat arms MOS, and the title for that is Cavalry Scout. So basically, we're basically like the eyes and ears for the combatant commanders. Basically, our job is to go out in front of all the ground forces and do, you know, reconnaissance on the enemies and report to higher on what we see, you know, using the 5 W's, you know, the who, which may be like, you know, enemy troops, the what, you know, what are they doing, and so forth. They could be like training, or they could be watching or monitoring what you're doing, your moves and everything like that, or they could just be sleeping and whatnot, and you have to report everything that you see. The when is basically like you give them like the time, a date time group, you know, like, you know, say for instance, like we're on a mission right now, it would be today, today's date, the time, and then you would give like the where, and the where would basically be like anywhere from an 8 to a 10 grid coordinates location, so that if you're able to engage with like artillery strike, you can send up that 8 to 10 digit grid, and they'll give you spot on what our enemy is at. And the why would be like, you know, the commander's intent, and that will be either to gain intelligence on the enemies and so forth and whatnot. And also, the job is basically entails like it has many other duties that you do within that one job, where it's like it's kind of like the light side of special forces. Basically, like we learn like multiple jobs in one. We learn how to do it ground tactics, like infantry tactics and stuff, where we learn how to do. But basically, we're on the ground. We're doing the ground movements, hand and arm signals to signal when we see the enemies, or when we're about to come across a danger zone, or whatever the case may be. We are experts in many different weapons that the military uses and whatnot, from like your personal weapon like your M4 to machine guns, machine grenade launcher like the Mark 19 and whatnot, the 50 cal machine gun, and the 203 grenade launcher and so forth.
What made you decide to join the armed forces, and even to want to be a part of something like special forces, or a Ranger, things of that nature? What makes you want to jump out of an airplane?
Well, it had a lot to do with, I feel like when I joined the military, I wanted to be able to say that I'd done it all, it was just the experience thing, it was basically like challenging myself, because I always knew that I can accomplish anything, just, with the type of person I am, the confidence that I have within myself. I figured that, if I was able to survive combat and had so many dang near-death experience, why not, try something like jump out of airplanes and see how that, will go for me. It was kind of like a check the block thing, within the military and whatnot. So, I was kind of like missing like the combat aspect of the military, because I ended up going airborne after I end up getting medical reclass to 92 Yankee, which is the supply specialist, what I do now. So basically what happened was I ended up getting myself back in physical shape and whatnot. Well, I always been physically fit and physically shape, but I had to get myself to a point to where I can be able to go and pass a physical to where I can go to airborne school and whatnot. And at the time,
I'm just saying, for you to have gotten a medical transfer and then had to work yourself back into shape, man, in order to be able to jump out of an airplane, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So and at the time, getting the airborne school, it was kind of hard, because I felt that I found the quickest way for me to get an airborne school was to do like a Ranger contract. So basically, I ended up doing basically a personnel action to where I can accept a Ranger assignment, and then and that was basically like the assignment that was fall on once I got done with airborne school. So basically, as soon as I got done with airborne school, I ended up getting picked up by the Ranger cadre and went on. And after that, I followed on and started doing the Ranger training and whatnot. Done that for about a year. Then I ended up getting orders cut, Fort Bragg, and I ended up going to special operation units there. And Rangers also is a special operation. They fall in the special operation command as well, just because of the type of mission and stuff that they do and the training that they do. They're not just a regular 11 Bravo grunt guy who just goes out there and just do missions and whatnot, just basically what they told. They actually have to go through like a rigorous training to see that if you're qualified and fit to, be in a Ranger battalion or whatnot. A lot of guys are physically fit, but they don't have the mental strength to complete the training, because it's very hard mentally, because you just got to think about when you join the military, they break you down and then they rebuild you, and they make you do repetitive stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they basically working on muscle memories to where you do something so much it becomes seared in your brain to where you just react, and you do it so much to where like when you enter a house, you just automatically know what and who to point it at and which direction to go. So you're basically trained to do that. You're basically like a robot, It's kind of like that movie Will Smith playing the iRobot. You know how the robots were able to rap and stuff. That's kind of how you become as a human being. You're like a robot in human being form.
So a lot of times I hear people, when I talk about social engineering and how the government impacts our behavior, or how certain programs, certain things were done to impact or to get certain behaviors done. From television, radio, the messages that are being sent out and drummed into people's head over and over again. But people say we're conspiracy theorists when we say that the government would socially engineer certain behaviors.
Exactly. That comes with the territory. I mean, you're basically like that from the time you come in. You know, you're told when to wake up, when to eat, when to go to sleep, when to do anything. You know, um, everyone in the military, whether they want to admit it or not, are conditioned and are and you're being controlled in some form. Um, for people who would like to call us conspiracy theory for thinking that the government don't condition people to be a certain way of think, a certain way of react, a certain way, like you got to be kidding yourself. You know, you look at what they call MK Ultra, what the CIA did to basically regularly American citizens. Well, they basically gave them drugs like LSD, and they in a controlled environment, and they sat there and they followed these people and they watched their behavior. They actually did it to a soldier once. He was a sergeant first class, and he ended up getting piss test and was kicked out the army behind that mess and lost all his benefit. And the government didn't took no liability for it and whatnot. You know, so yeah, a lot of people don't know about that type of information. You know, a lot of people like well, let's MK Ultra. Like, for the few people that do know, and end up coming like this. And that's why like now I try to surround myself around like-minded people. People who have their third eye open and that's know what's really going on, and we talk amongst ourselves and we have group discussion and stuff.
Let's, with the conspiracy theory, and let's kind of transition into the protest, because, they say that we're conspiracy theorists, or, everything is a conspiracy with us. But I find that those that are against the protest, to me, those are the people that are not in touch with reality. For instance, the Supreme Court has already decided, it's already been decided that they can't force you to do any patriotic rituals. In America, you can't be forced to participate in patriotic rituals. But we want to hear from a soldier, from a black soldier, from an African American soldier. We want to hear, what are your thoughts on that scenario?
Okay. My opinion, for everyone that's looking at it as a disrespect thing, a lot of the people who saying that he's disrespecting the flag, a lot of them may need to turn the mirror on themselves, and they need to go read the U.S. flag code, because a lot of us has been disrespecting the flag unknowingly. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to educate yourself, and before you speak or you try to have any opinion, know the facts. But for me, I don't see it as disrespect because of why he's protesting and why these other players are following suit and are protesting. I mean, as a soldier, I believe in everyone, having their constitutional right to protest however they see fit. To me, I take pride in that, whether people stand or whether people sit. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really, bother me that much or anything, because, at the end of the day, it's just a cloth, and I value human lives over a freaking flag. You know what I'm saying? Once upon a time, a lot of people realized that flag didn't represent every American as it's so-called. Still to this day, it really doesn't. And the reason why they're protesting, and it's been said a million times, but it just seems like the right-wing conservatives don't even care to bother to hear why they're protesting. They just keep making about something that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. And the issue is, people are protesting the anthem because of racial inequality in this country. I've dealt with, my fair share of racial inequality with the inequality with the police. And I came across some good ones, but majority of them were terrible. Like, it's just like they didn't have no regard for any person that didn't look like them. It's like they became desensitized, and every black person that they come across is just a criminal. And the fact that you're having people who are doing the right thing, going about the right way, being law-abiding citizen, they're being killed. And then kids are being killed. or kids are being attacked by these cops, you know, for small things. And it's like a lot of stuff that they're doing, it's like they jumping, it's like they're skipping all their escalation of force measure and just going straight to shoot to kill. And they shouldn't have to do that, you know. There are steps and procedures that you take before you go and take someone alive. And I heard a lot of people that say, oh, well, you don't know what it's like to be a cop and all this and that and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, I served in the military. I've been in far more danger than any cop in this country have ever been in, whether they served or not, you know. Because for me as a soldier, when I can tell when a threat is about to come, and I can de-escalate a situation before it gets to the point to where, like, I feel like my life is in danger, or I feel like I'm going to have to take someone's life. There's steps that these cops should be following. You know what I'm saying? Just because a person says they have a gun on them doesn't automatically give you the green light to go and kill that person because you feel like your life was threatened, you know? So I'm all for people protesting. It's peaceful protest. It's not like we're out here, you know what I'm saying, trying to, you know, demand it. You know what I'm saying? They ought to be glad that we're freaking protesting peacefully instead of us trying to get even. You know what I'm saying? We're asking nicely, but it's like the way that we're going about doing it. It's like it's still not enough. People want to be offended because they're just following suit with what someone else is saying, because they're deflecting from the actual reason behind why people are protesting, you know. And it's upsetting, you know, because along the way the message gets lost because people start focusing on, you know, something that doesn't have nothing to do with the reasoning, the why. You know what I'm saying? People forget to touch on the why. People keep saying, you know, they keep making about the soldier. Like every soldier, I can name at least like 10 soldiers or more that straight up said that they support Colin Kaepernick and what he's done and the way he went about doing it. You know, no one was offended by it. Even celebrities who served said the same thing, you know. Salute to Colin Kaepernick for what he's done, you know. And I feel the same way, and I served, you know. And I was one of them soldiers who, you know what I'm saying, who put my life on the line from serving. I'm not someone who served behind the line and just sat back on the fob and didn't really do nothing, you know what I'm saying, and watch videos and all that stuff. Like, no, I was actually out there in the thick of it. So I'm all for people protesting, you know what I'm saying, these players protesting. I'm all for it. It's no disrespect to me because I know why. You know, it's people who look like me that are being targeted by cops, and there's no accountability for these police officers that are taking innocent black lives. You know, it's the same type of rhetoric when we were saying Black Lives Matter. Then you have like the right-wing conservatives coming out saying all lives matters. You know, it's just basically take away, you know what I'm saying, from the actual reasoning or the message that we're trying to, you know what I'm saying, that we're basically trying to get out to the world. Like, we know all lives matter, but right now what we're being shown in America is that no one is valuing black lives. You know, I hate when people get on there and they throw out, but what about black on black crime? But they don't never throw out the fact that there's 82% of people here are white. People here in America, white people, 82% of white people are killed by white people. But you'll never hear that being thrown out there in the media. They want to focus on black crime. We've been protesting black on black crime for years, but it never made mainstream because it was too positive. They love it when we go out and kill each other and, you know, sit on TV, argue with each other, fight each other. Like this whole love of hip hop crap that they got out there. This is depicting us in a very negative, stereotypical way. You know, it's doing us more harm than it is doing us any good. Yeah, people are able to move out the hood and create a better life for their family, but you gotta think about the respect and dignity for yourself, man. So you're basically telling me your life is worth throwing away all the dignity and respect for a little check, and so you to be accepted by a group of people who don't really care nothing about you, who don't value you, yet you can move into a great neighborhood, and your kid could be walking home, and then your child can end up being the next Trayvon Martin.
Well, brother, I definitely want to thank you for your service in the military. I have a lot of family that have military experience, at least 3 uncles. One of them took that military experience, parlayed it into multiple master's degrees, and now is a millionaire in the civilian contractor world. I think he does contracting for them, but he's a millionaire, parlayed that into a millionaire status. But also a lot of the brothers and sisters that I see that are out in the community doing things for the community and protecting the community have military backgrounds, are ex-military, and they went into the military and then took that training, that information that they got from the military and brought it back to the community and began to use it to help the community. But at the same time, there are also some who feel that black people have no place in the United States military. Have you received any backlash from for your military service?
I've heard it, you know what I'm saying, from some of the people in my family and whatnot. But you know, it just, to me, I didn't really let it bother me to get to me. Like when I explained to them, like, look, I'm getting this dang training so that I can bring it back to my community and share it with amongst my people. You know what I'm saying? Because how do you expect to at least try to counter or protect yourself from the enemy, and you don't have no type of tactics or any type of training or no type of experience? You know what I'm saying? And you don't know how to counter that enemy when he comes at you or comes for you and your family. I think it's best that at least, you know what I'm saying, I don't encourage people to go in the military or black people to go in the military, because I'm gonna tell you, it's not for everybody, and it's certainly not for black people. But some people do it just to do it. Some of them are very patriotic, and I respect and see everyone that feels that way. But since my awakening, I noticed that it's just not for black people. They use us to basically do their dirty deed and turn against our own kind within the military, you know. And they basically program people to forget where they come from and talk down their hood, or people that think opposite of what they think. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand who you were before you came into the military. Like, don't lose yourself into it. At the end of the day, when you leave that military, no one's gonna care nothing about you. It's gonna be, oh, thank you for your service, and that's it. Then once you get the military, you gotta fight for your dang benefits that's rightfully owned to you. And no soldier should have to fight. She have to go through that. Nobody should fight for any type of medical benefits or anything that is due to them, especially if they serve in combat. Nobody should. I think that's like a big slap into any veteran face. Anybody ever served.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. You know, it's interesting to me that these white people knowing that black people have served this country in the military from the very beginning, from the Revolutionary War through the Civil War, World Wars I, World War II, you name it, Vietnam, you name it. African Americans have given their lives and sacrificed their lives for this country. This country was built on the backs of black people that were stolen from their country, and not all of them that were, you know, we'll get into it because I know you have a lot to say about that, but this country was built on the backs of black people. But you have races that have the nerve to say, go back to Africa. right? But at the same time, you have people like Marcus Garvey that was setting up and even had ships to take black people back to Africa. And the United States government sabotaged that company and forced them into bankruptcy and just completely dissolved that company. There was also a movement called MOVE. There were a bunch of people, and this was in the 80s. In 1985, the Philadelphia Police Department bombed a black community that wanted to go back to Africa. So for them to now say, well, if you don't like America, then go back to Africa. Listen, that is ridiculous. But I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but me personally, I'm not going nowhere. A lot of people don't know that there was black people in this country along with the Native Americans, but they tell a lot of black people that, that we all come from slavery and all this and that and whatnot. That's not necessarily true. That's why I say people need to really get into those books and really learn about yourself, where you come from. Stop using all these freaking vehicles that they give us that's gonna point us, that's supposed to help us and find out our ancestral lineage and all this stuff come from. Because a lot of times you run into a dead end, and then you paying all this dang money and then you don't know where the hell you come from, I don't understand it.
Right, and I think you make a great point with, and I talk about it, that there were, everywhere that white people traveled when they finally left Europe, when they finally came out of the Caucasus Mountains, everywhere that they went, there were already black people there. So it amazes me that this isn't what's taught to our children, that this truth, that are the lie that they went out and they discovered this world. But everywhere that they went and they discovered, it was somebody already there. How do you discover something? Somebody's already there. At the same time that they say millions of black slaves appeared in America, millions of black indigenous people disappeared in America at the exact same time, right? Millions came from Africa and millions disappeared at the exact same time in America. So
that's a lot of gray area that they leave, that they basically throw out there. And then that's the thing with us as people, we don't never question anything. Any information that's thrown to us by the dominant society or white supremacists or whatever you want to label them as, the press or whatever, we just take it for the truth and we don't do no type of research or anything. We just take their word on it, and that's where we fall short ourselves, because we're not really learning about ourselves and who we are and where we really come from. And we, when I started taking history in the military, college, when I started doing my college in the military, I had this one history professor. He was a black guy. He was in the Army, and he was a Ranger Tab guy as well. And he one thing I like about this dude, he didn't sugarcoat nothing. He kept it all the way 100 with everybody. He was calling Confederate generals cowards, and how they was the tactics and stuff that they used and how they lost the battles and how they got whooped. He kept it real. He didn't sugarcoat nothing. He told us the real history of America and how that happened. And I'm glad that I've learned that, because and all through all my 12 years in school, I never learned no real history. I learned that Christopher Columbus discovered America, which that's not true. The guy who discovered America, his name was Amerigo Vespucci, and you can look that up. And a lot of people don't realize that who really discovered America. They just want to tell us that some European sailor named Christopher Columbus came over here and discovered America, and they whitewashed the freaking how the Indians and Pilgrims met and how they share food and how Thanksgiving and all that stuff come about. It's all lies, man. So I tell people you have to really do the research yourself, and you will find the truth. That's why I at least tell people, even if you don't get a bachelor's degree, at least get social, so you can have a base knowledge, so that way you can learn how to research, how you and find truth for yourself. They don't, a lot of people don't realize you don't really need a college degree to be educated. There are so many dang people throughout history and still in this world today who doesn't even have a college degree, but they're smarter than most people who has one.
Oh, Staff Sergeant Burt, we're definitely glad that Kobi, we're glad that you took the time out to talk with us today. Wonderful interview. I mean, you really were generous with your time, and we appreciate the time. We'll have the full interview online at www.houseofaman.org. That's www.houseofamen.org. Go to our blogs, and you'll be able to see it there. We'll try to get it set up also to be the first video that comes up when you go to www.houseofaman.org. Thank you again. I hope that you all are blessed. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Amen.